Okay, so let's look at Bitcoin. Yep, this one, this chart. We're going to focus on the Bybit chart. So on the monthly, I mean, this just still looks like failure. You know what I mean? Like there on the monthly, it hasn't done anything significant. I mean, it's this is first of all, this is all. Let me turn this thing on. This has just all been a downtrend through here. Now, if this candle closes here in an accumulation position in 6 days and 4 hours, then it could signify a swing high on the monthly, for me, the way in which I view it, because I want to see two candles breaking the trend or direction of the movement. So here, like we started two distribution candles, right? And we even got a third, and then we got two accumulation in a row, which is important. You want two in a row. And then so this would be a swing high on the monthly for me. Pop a line here. There we go. And I'll just make this. There we go. So we're just going to call this like a monthly. Okay. So it comes down, and then you have two distributions. So, all right, we're continuing this downtrend, right? Now, for us to have broken the downtrend here on the monthly, this would have had to come up here and have closed above that. So this is, yes, it is a swing high, but it is just not, it's not anything so significant that we're going to be like, all right, well, we've broken the downtrend on the monthly and then we're moving up. So we have three distribution candles here. We just have one here. So this is just continuation, two distribution in a row. And then we have one still distribution on the monthly. Then we have two more. And now like we have this point here. And if you look at this candle right here, let me get my little paintbrush. If you look at like this candle, hold on, let me delete that. So that would be coming down. Yeah, so this candle here, if that one had, closed up here and been an accumulation candle, and then we would have had another one next to it, then you could have called whatever the highest wick on the two of those a swing high, but we didn't have that. So again, still failure, and this is speaking on the monthly time frame. Whereas right now where we're at, we got 6 days, 4 hours until this close. If it does indeed close in an accumulation position, then we could at the very least call wherever the wick is at that point in time, like the swing high. Doesn't mean that it's going up, you know what I'm saying? For me, for it to signify that it's going up on the monthly, it would have to come up here and close above this, which is there's not a snowball's chance and he double hockey stick, so that's going to happen. Okay. Not now. I think obviously I believe that it will at some point in the future, just not yet. So let's go to the weekly, so we get a little bit more dialed in acute information, and get rid of that. Okay, so we'll just leave that there, that monthly. Now, if we're looking at this, like obviously this is a big run up, and you can see what I was talking about here. Like you have two candles in a row opposing the trend that you were in, like, and then that high point, that's the swing, right? That's a swing high. Same with this, like you were two candles in distribution, and then you had two candles in a row in accumulation. So this will be a swing. And you see how important that was, and this is essentially like they can be breakup structure levels on those time frames, but even if they're not technically the relevant breakup structure levels, they're still important. They tend to always be important, when you have those two candles in a row breaking the trend that you were in. Then it happens again, and then you still don't have it there. You have it there. So you see what I'm saying? Is that making sense? Like those two candles in a row, it turns out they tend to be really important.
Okay, that's interesting that it's still two candles on the weekly as well. Thought it would be more candles, as
Not always. Yeah. Well, it just depends on like if it's building up liquidity or what people call consolidation. You know what I'm saying? On lower time frames, because like if we look at like if we go back to the monthly and let's just say like let me put like a little thing around that this. So if we do like that right there, and then we go down to the weekly, like I've shown you before, every time I go down, you're going to see more and more information. And the more I go down on those like high time frames, when it's just like, one or two candles, you're seeing that this is kind of a similar place to what we're in now. God, I hate that paintbrush. I wish you could get it to where it just does it once. It's kind of like, I think, similar to what we're kind of in now over here. And then if I go down again, it might, let's see. Yeah. You see how like, I mean, it was like all that time and it's just kind of ranging around here and it's just building liquidity. And it's what like a lot of people are like, oh, it's the bears and the bulls fighting or whatever, whatever, like, gimmicky nonsense phrase that people come up with, and then ultimately like it's lost, and then of course it's going to like back test around that area, and so it does about here and just plummets off to the face of the earth. Yep. Oops. Okay, so now we're back at the weekly and looking at this now. If we look here, like this was obviously a swing high on the weekly. Let me change this. Oops. Okay, so that was a swing high, and like look what it like came up and tagged. You know what I mean? And I think let me go to my other chart. Like, excuse the mess, but I haven't cleaned this. Oh, this isn't the one I want. Let me get rid of these. Oops. Get rid of these things. If we look at the weekly, where is, I'm trying to remember where I have it. I thought it was on this one. Okay, yeah, this one. On the weekly. So yeah, that was indeed like what I had as my weekly breakup structure. Right here. So that's that same level that we were just looking at. It's right there. So we can just go ahead and mark that as such. Oops. So yeah, so that was the weekly breakup structure. Make that a little, and because this swing high didn't really achieve anything, you know what I mean? Like it didn't, it didn't even break like this fractal swing high, which I would probably, I'm just going to put one on here and just probably say that that's ultimately going to end up being like a daily. We'll see in a second. But that, you know, this was the one that it you know, it needed to close above this first and foremost on a weekly. And remember, I told you that I was like, this is really important weekly,
Yeah.
because it was really, it was trying to right here. And then when it didn't, like, I mean, look, like we already had like, it already came out 7% when that didn't happen, and it happened pretty quickly. And that's what I was saying. I was like, if it fails to do this when that close happens on the weekly, it's gonna dump. And I mean, it was gonna dump either way, but it just, not closing above it just signifies like a further dump down, much further than where it's already at now, you know.
Yeah.
So like what it's really kind of, you know, heading towards now is this and like that. So it's like this area right here that it's, you know, that's going to be its next little battle, but it's going to lose it, in my opinion. That doesn't mean it has to, but I mean, this is such a insignificant little swing, and it you know, it didn't really, like this particular swing, it didn't even achieve anything. So if you look at it, let me use this line here.
That
So
level there you just shown, that's I've got that as my daily
which
BOS. The
which one?
bottom, yeah,
This one? Yeah.
yeah, 21,327.
Okay. Yeah, I'd have to look. Um, you see that level I just put there? You see that it's the body of this.
Yeah,
This hit it, and then look what it didn't close above. Like it's right there. Like, I mean, plain as day. So to me, the fact that it can't even close above like this fractal high, which is the bodies of these, and ultimately like here, um, it's just, it just further signifies to me that it's going down, you know. Now let's see if and then after like these two levels here, you know, obviously the next area that we're looking to kind of get some resistance at is in here. Um, and this one, it'll definitely be a tough area. It's definitely it's gonna bounce around in here long term, I think, before ultimately it comes down to what I've discussed before. Like it'll, I think it'll come down a little bit lower around that 13,000-14,000 range. uh I don't, I think it'll kind of dump down there pretty quick and then come back up and then just kind of range around for a while. And I really think this entire year is just going to be just, uh, you know, ultimately one of these numbers, just like me, you know, a quick dump, and then it's just going to do this kind of nonsense. You know what I mean? And just ultimately just finish out the quote unquote bear market doing that kind of stuff, you know. Now world events and politics and things, like they're ultimately going to have uh a big effects on what it does long term and how dramatic the things that it does. It could come down to the really, you know, lower areas in here, like 10 to, you know, 12. It's quite possible. We'll just have to see, you know. It's, nobody can really tell that. it's kind of impossible. But so
Yeah, that's good because that was one of my questions. You know, why is it you're absolutely determined it's going to come down? Well, not absolutely determined, but you know, probabilities
right.
that it is coming down that far. And that's
Yeah.
interesting. You say it couldn't even break a fractal high, never mind a
Mm-hmm.
swing high. Um,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
And yeah, and it's because that's why like bodies of candles and wicks are like important. Like the bodies are essentially, I mean, they're just a swing high on a lower time frame or low, vice versa. I'm trying to remember what's this one. You said you had, I don't know. Okay, so you had your daily. Yeah, so see, I haven't updated my charts in a little bit, but let me look. Yeah, so I know this is a hot mess in here. Let me get rid of some stuff real quick. Let me save that. I'll make this. Yeah, just delete it. I don't need that. I need this in there. Trying to clean this up a little. Okay, so I had back at this point in time in September, this was my daily. Let me just go to the daily to make it easier. So this was my daily breakup structure, and then this was my low. So it closed above it here. So once that move completed, I would have I would have okay, so this is my high. I'm trying to think about it. Yeah, I would call that. Yeah. So because it changed trend, this is my daily like low breakup structure. It broke the high, changed trend. So I would put my high now to that point, and my low would stay the same. And then it broke this. So it's done. Yeah. Yeah, so I would move this to kind of do a little bounce around here. Okay. I would move my low to the lowest point in between the high it broke and the high that broke it. So that'd be here. And then I would move my high to there.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
yeah,
21,327.
yeah. So and you see like that's where it as soon as it tagged it like that next time, that's this is literally when I was saying, I was like, it's to me, I think that it's just gonna dump, and we're gonna have like a little fight in through here. So let me just look, what do I have here? So I got that one and that one, that one. I don't know why I cloned that. I might have had two there accident. Let me adjust these 4 hours, maybe like I said, I haven't done it. I haven't adjusted these in a while, and you can see like how important those were. So we changed trend, we earned a downtrend overall, and then it changed trends, kind of similar to the daily. I'm not going to go through every single step. I'm just going to kind of look at it and think. Okay, so I would say ultimately it would have ended up with that. and then the 4 hour would have been there, and then that was broke. So if it was in here, so then the 4 hour would move here. Oops. And then it was broke again and changed trend. And yeah, like the 4 hour just is ultimately it tends to do that. It ends up on the same two time frames close together. They ultimately, for the most part, end up on the same thing. It's just there's a lag in between the two, time wise.
Yeah.
So this is what we're fighting now. So yeah, we're in this box in the short term. So what I would say to do, what I would do, um, is use the fib tool with the 25% marks on it, and this was our low point, and then this was the high. These are also like our two breakup structures on the 4 hour and the daily minimally. So I think ultimately, like this is where we're kind of at right now. Um, I would not be looking for longs, and I mean, if you were going to take some that get in and out, you could like take little, scalp longs here, um, here, definitely there. This is, I think that's going to be probably a spot that it bounces off of, like right around here. Let me get rid of this little guy here. So probably there. Let me change the color of these two. We'll make those white. So those, and then so that one's kind of used up there. Well, not quite. Right there. So like these are just kind of, like I think it's definitely gonna fight some stuff in here. And this may bounce it enough just to get it back up to at least halfway. So let's just say if it does come down to this lowest one right here, which I think is most probable personally. Let's say that that's what happens, then if this ends up being the low, then it could bounce it back up to one of these spots here, roughly thereabout. But you got to keep in mind, like this is only like 4 hour and daily kind of stuff in here, so it could very well come anywhere in here. But these are the places that I would start to look, the areas that I would start to look, and I would drill down in time frames, and kind of try to find that out just by like looking at it. If it does indeed come down to here and it bounces, obviously like the safest spots for shorts are like around they're up towards the top, like around that area. I'm just kind of snapping these wild around there, and then you're getting a little more risky there, and then around there. So that's been built, and then this one, and and you're gonna have to adjust your stops and expectations accordingly. Change that color to red also, and get rid of this yellow one. So for this one, go down in time frames and kind of dial it in, and then keeping in mind like this is your swing high, on a lower time frame. So this is your swing high. Let's make that like pink, too close, yellow. And then so if we like go down to like a 15-minute, you'll see like that's your swing high there. And then if we are looking just at the 15-minute, like the safest spot here is right there. So like if you wanted to like take this short, you could take that and have your stop depending upon your risk level, you know what I mean? If you got the risk tolerance to go here, that'd be good. If you wanted to keep it really tight, I would say I would at least do that as a short, you know. And since this swing high, it didn't achieve anything, it didn't break this one, it just kind of, created a liquidity line right here. It's likely it'll hold at least, for like a little bit, you probably at least get 1% or 2, but I would leave some in, just remove risk. Like I always tell you, like remove risk as soon as possible. Don't worry about losing out on potential profits, because that's going to ultimately lose you money in the long run. And as your account size will just dwindle over time, you'll have big wins and then a bunch of little losses. That's not the key to success from my experience.
Yeah.
And and then you would just do that same thing like I just said there. Like that looks like a decent little area for a short, but like I say, there's a lot of potential for it to come all the way back up here. I just think that really it's kind of hit this area so much, it's built so much liquidity up here. I think that's kind of a little treasure box that they're saving for at a later date, or if I'm wrong and it's ultimately going to move up, in the short term, like then maybe they set this liquidity up and it's going to come up here and then bounce and then use it as support and then moon. I personally don't think that that's the case right now, but it's just, that's what I see with all the variables